Good evening. You are watching and listening to another Scoutcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. My name is John T.
And my name is Mark.
And my name is Az.
My name's Andy.
So a bit of confusion there, because usually it's Mark goes first, but we have to explain. Mark is somewhere else at the moment, and we're not sure about his connection. He's in a luxurious office somewhere, and so just in case his connection goes down, so I'm de facto hosting slightly, but he's going to take over in about 5 seconds and take it
right
from
now.
there.
In fact, yeah, it did feel weird to go. And my name is Mark. That felt actually quite good. To be honest, that was a bit weird. Yeah, it's fair. It's all very odd. Okay, yeah. Welcome to the Scoutcast, everybody. For some reason, I'm not on the camera, so that's probably for a good thing. Welcome to the Scoutcast. I'm back after my illness last week. Apologies about that. Just a bad case of the man flu. But yes, I'm back and fighting fit, about 75% fit. Good enough to be here anyway. Straight from the TV show. Still got full makeup on, John T. Can you not tell?
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what have we got tonight in this week's show?
So, yeah, we're going to be looking at a formation change. A lot of people are talking about it, thanks to Tom Hanks' best mate, we shall reveal a bit later. We cast our eye over some January transfer window recruits. Lots of new faces, lots of people, lots of players in new teams as well. So we need to consider those. And also, we need to consider some changes at the back. Something is happening to our defenders. The curse of Christensen struck again. The curse of other defenders is starting to strike as well. So going to need some new defenders soon. So we'll look at that, as well as all the usual. So we'll look at fantasy risks, clean sheets, and obviously look back at our rather average game week that we've just
had. Do we have to talk about Christensen, John T? It's just so depressing. Oh, dear.
After we all said last week we should all definitely keep him if you've got him. All got that wrong.
Well, I know, absolutely. It's not like us to get something incredibly wrong on the Scoutcast, Andy. No, absolutely. The camera doesn't seem to be switching to me, so maybe, John T, you should host much of this, because otherwise it's going to look odd with me talking and then not. No,
it is going to. But
it's fine, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they can all see you.
It's because it's a new experience for me. I'm not seeing it from a non-host point of view. It's all very odd. Anyway, fine. So I wanted to know that the camera's on me, because that's the most important thing, of course.
It is. Yeah, we can see the luxurious studio you're in.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Okay, let's get on with it then. So let's talk about our game weeks. I'd rather not talk about this because I can bottom of the pile, but we'll start at the top. Granville's not here, but we'll start with him because he did come top because he didn't take a hit. But what a story of woe for it could have been so much better for Granville, couldn't it? He's flying, but what a bench decision. Do you want to explain it, Tonti?
Well, yeah, he decided to bench Wilson, who did rather well. The echoes of, I don't know if anyone else felt foul, but lots of people, back when Harry Kane was about 5 million, and he was emerging as the hot property is today. And lots of people benched him when he played against Chelsea. He ended up having a fantastic haul there, and same with Wilson as well. So lesson there, do not bench Wilson. He can score against anyone. But yeah, I mean, he also did a couple of moves, got rid of his red flagged West Hamites. So Arnautovic and Masuaku gone. And Chilwell and Bernardo Silva came in. So
nice choices.
He took some risks there. Chilwell's a good player to get in. Bernardo Silva, yeah, all sorts could have got in. But yeah, that was quite an interesting move. So sticking with his kind of usual he's invented the template. The template's turned on him, so he's trying to crush it, and it's just fighting back.
Bernardo Silva, what do we make of that? I mean, it's a shame he's not here to talk about that, because that is a maverick move. There was some good talk about him, good chat on the comments before the deadline, but I looked at it as an option, but I don't know. I guess he's a cheap route into the City attack, but I'm worried about he's still rotation prone, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. You can tell it is, because they were ready to spend about 65 million to get Mahrez in. So exactly. How do you feel about that, Silva? Are you happy with me, boss? Yeah, sure. Yeah, don't worry about that bloke who cost 65 million we're trying to get. So anyway, he couldn't, so he's stuck with Bernardo Silva. But that's the way I think about it. In any team, really, who are the best players? He's a good player, but he's not the best player. He's not anywhere near the top 3 best attackers to get from Man City. So he's the 4th best. So that's what you're getting, really.
Yeah, you never know, though. I mean, it's as I say, as you said, he invented the template, so maybe he's done it again. You just never know. Benching Wilson is going to hurt, but he will learn his lesson from that. To be fair, no one saw the Wilson haul against Chelsea. let alone people with 2 Chelsea defenders like myself. Okay, John, to you and next. You took a hit, but you got 53 points overall, 57. And talking to Mahrez, that was a factor, wasn't it? I mean, what unbelievable, wasn't it? Because, I mean, for me, he was coming in. He was going to be my transfer. So it's pretty bad for me, pretty bloody awful for you because you had him already.
Well, luckily, you were listening when we were talking about the dangers of early transfers and you decided against that. And as we're discovering Rough with the Smooth, there are plenty that did. So, yeah, so I didn't really make any moves. So I had my 2 free transfers. I'd made an early move for Arnautovic out for Shaqiri, just kind of, earlier that day. And then the Mahrez news came in, so it's a good job I waited. And I just suddenly, my plans went completely out the window. I wanted to get Alonso in. I was going to get rid of Ali for Pogba, and obviously keep Mahrez. And then it was just looking like Mahrez is just not going to play, and perhaps might not for at least another game week or 2. So got rid Arnautovic, Masuaku, Mahrez out for Alonso, Milivojevic, and I got him in purely to try and pronounce his name, and Shaqiri. There's logic to that move. I captained Salah as well. I could have got the likes of Hazard. I could have got De Bruyne in. I actually wanted. I've kept by 2.8 million in the bank, and because ultimately Salah was the one I wanted to captain. I couldn't see a better captain than Salah. And then obviously Firmino, Otamendi, and Sterling helped out to stay within the top 5,000. But as we're going to come on to, there's a reason I got Milivojevic in, other than to annoy myself to try and pronounce him. It's because I'm thinking of moving to a 3-4-3, and he is my about to be, in a couple of game weeks, bench fodder for that.
I'm just pleased you're not saying Shakira instead of Shaqiri. So to be honest, that's a double pronunciation nightmare for Jonty there.
It is. I've made it easy for myself.
But I will say I'm not even going to try it. I thought you went the Palace midfielder because you were going to go Sanchez. Yeah.
Well, and I could, and that's why I have enough money to do Ali to Sanchez, no hit.
I thought that's what you were going to do, but it sounds like you got another idea up your sleeve.
I have, but we'll come to that gradually during the Scoutcast. But yes, I'm starting to think there might be some better options than Sanchez.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I was ready to try and convince you otherwise. But it sounds like I don't have to. Okay, over to Az next. No, it's Andy next on 50. All these scores quite similar. Going down the scale, Andy. You weren't happy? I take it with that though.
Yeah, it was okay this week, but nothing really came off. The top scores were really Salah and Sterling, and everyone's got them, so it doesn't really matter, apart from the fact I captained Salah. I was happy with Firmino outscoring Aguero because obviously he's got a lot of stick the week before when Aguero actually smashed it, so it was nice to see Firmino doing better this week. Lovely finish, in fact. There's Phil Jones. I'm going to let him off because I've had so many good weeks for him, but that was a great finish, but obviously -2 points, not fantastic, and Spurs absolutely destroyed us. But yeah, I basically had Arnautovic. I've kept him. I banked my transfer instead. I just basically couldn't see a midfielder that cost, in hindsight, should have got Walcott, but for one that cost less, like Shaqiri, Choupo-Moting, I just wasn't feeling a Stoke midfielder in the end, and yeah, just banked the transfer. So 50 points is okay. I think I'm going to be better off in the long run because of that extra transfer. But yeah, pretty meh week, really. Not a lot really happened.
It was, but I think your 2 free transfers are going to do you well now because obviously players have come out which you're going to want. And so I think you're in a strong position there with that. I think you probably trade 10 points for having an extra transfer at the moment, given what's happening in the market. So I think you're fine there. Jones was just unlucky. As long as Mourinho doesn't do anything silly like rest him, then we'll be fine. I mean, I was looking at Jones for the Huddersfield situation, but I've got a little bit concerned.
That's a 9 point waiting to happen, that is. I don't. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. I don't think he's going to get rested.
No, I don't think so either. But it was a nightmare performance, a bit unfortunate. But United weren't impressive. We'll talk about them later, no doubt. As 52 with the hit 48, you're not very happy at all, though, are you? You're looking very down.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often I get to compare myself to Harry Kane, but I feel for him with his August drought. I feel very similar during the January month. My season always takes a nosedive in January, and it's no exception this year. I've used my triple captain chip. I've been getting bang average scores every week. Jonty's overtaken me in the Mods and Cons League.
Doesn't get any worse than this.
No, I mean that sums up January. That really does. But yeah, it wasn't great. I've taken a lot of hit. I've taken 12 points worth of hits over the last 2 weeks. I think my team's in better shape going into February. But yeah, it was just a bit meh. I captained Salah luckily, but I bought in Hazard, and I was debating Hazard and De Bruyne all week, and went with Hazard because I really fancied that Bournemouth game. And then Batshuayi went off, and he played. Hazard plays in that position, which I'm not too sure he's that effective in. So I'm looking forward to Giroud coming into the team and hopefully increasing his points potential.
Yeah, I mean, I also went Hazard, so I got 46, 42 with the hit. Three of us took hits here. And yeah, I was wanting to give something a go. I got away with it in a way because no one really got... There weren't many scores in the 60s and 70s unless you had Walcott, unless you had Wilson. And Salah and Aguero could have destroyed me, to be fair, although both were slightly fortunate. Last-minute goal and a penalty, which was wrestled off Milner. You can imagine what I was doing at the screen at the time. I was willing Milner to take the penalty, but it wasn't to be. Salah had a funny game. Aguero was a little bit quiet, but they got their points, and that's what they're about. Hazard, obviously Chelsea's best player, but like you said, in the false nine, didn't work out. But I thought I'd try it. I'm much the same as you at the moment. I'm trying little things here and there, taking hits a lot of the time. I think I looked at my rank and I'm back now where I was. I'm just above where I was in game week 18. So I spent like 6 or 7 game weeks just going up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, stuck in that rut that we've talked about before, John T. And everything I'm trying, obviously the Christensen luck I've had recently hasn't helped, but everything I'm trying is not really coming off. So I don't know what to do. Part of me now thinks carry on taking a few risks with the captaincy. Part of me thinks, well, maybe I should just be dullard for a few weeks and see how that works out. Maybe that will get me up the ranks. We've talked about the merits of that. It's very difficult because we're in this position, a lot of us, where we're surrounded by managers of similar teams and we're doing our best, or some of us are doing our best to break out of that. It's not happening. Just not happening at the moment. And I don't know what the answer is. Maybe I need to go dullard. I'm seriously thinking about that.
I mean, from my experience of being dullard and taking risks and hits, definitely minimise the hits and trust some of the players that you have. And I've found that is the best way to go up the ranks, especially where you're around the kind of 30,000. To get into the top 10,000, I think you actually have to be a bit dull. But what you're good at is once you're in the top 10,000, you can take those risks to get into the top, say, thousands. So that's the big move there. So you're kind of adopting the right tactics, but at the wrong time. I think so. For example, Salah is so well owned, and he had a really good fixture, I thought, as well. And a lot of people thought that. So there was almost no need to take a risk with someone else. Although I personally did actually think Hazard was a very good captain choice this week, but I think Salah was the one there. But it's just getting the hits really. I mean, you had some issue. I think you had Arnautovic as well, and I had him. Lots of people. I had to take a hit this week because I just had too many players who weren't playing. And once you get that, you've got to take a hit. But I think your team's looking good. So it's rare you get a compliment from me about your team, but it doesn't actually need the level of hits that you might be thinking of taking.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do it again. I don't think it is tempting. I'm kicking myself not going Walcott. It's a funny story of Walcott because I looked at the straight swap for him or Mkhitaryan, and I just think it's too early for either of them. I convinced myself that Walcott, he got an assist but didn't look that impressive. Everton didn't look impressive, and also Walcott is a player that I've always backed to my detriment. Like I showed too much faith in him. He never really delivers for me. He had a good spell last season, but I held on to him too long. So I kind of talked myself out of it and gone, no, I can't do that again. Don't want to go. So I ended up going back to Hazard, another player who always upsets me and never delivers. But like you, I just thought that Bournemouth game he would do okay in, but I think the Batshuayi thing.
He thought himself he was going to do well. He even came out and said, I always score against Bournemouth. So he's
five goals in 6 appearances. 5 goals and an assist in 6 appearances.
And to be fair, like you look at it, and the handball was a handball, and so Chelsea could have got a penalty, and it's fine margins, but that's what it is, isn't it? So it's not a disaster. I didn't like fall massively behind. I got a red arrow. I went down to 30,000 from 20,000, so it's not a disaster. But I now need to think about my future strategy, and I've had a go for 5 weeks at trying to just get a big jump, and it's not happened. So maybe I need to just slowly catch up. 1,000 players.
I tried going template and that didn't work.
Yeah, I know. It's tricky, isn't it? It really is. But I think we've got to find a solution. But at least new players are in the game. Walcott and Wilson, new players coming to the fore. And Vardy has done all right for me. That decision's come off to an extent, but I don't know how much that's going to continue because of the Mahrez situation, which could be a double-edged sword with Vardy. So it's very difficult. Let's look at the community and see if they're doing any better, Jonty.
Yeah, so we've got a few roughs here. So, Ronaldinho, he got in Mahrez, Alonso and Shaqiri for a hit. Sounds great if you do that ahead of the news that Mahrez is having a big strop and isn't going to play. But it was worse, really. He got those like for a hit, and he got rid of Eriksen, who scored. Otamendi got a clean sheet, and Arnautovic, so that's fine. But net loss 16. It's cost him 16 points, that whole move. So he'd been better off just doing absolutely nothing. Paolo Di Canio, early move from Mahrez again. Eriksen made way. I mean, it's just never rains, but it pours. Tanvir Rashid brought in Shaqiri and Mahrez for a hit. Kenny didn't play for him, so Jones minus points then came off the bench, which is that is actually worse than you fielding him. You've made the right move, you haven't fielded him, and you still get punished. And he captained Alonso. So, I mean, I shouldn't laugh at it. But he dropped 150,000 places and lost his mini-league lead. So, show me the Manny, another who made an early move from Mahrez. There's lots of these people. They get caught out. How many times we say don't make, especially in January transfer. And he also got the Jones own goal to further punish him. A few more here. Babyface Assassin took out Eriksen for Hazard. That did make sense, but it didn't in the end. And Robin Me Blind, he benched Pope for Adrian. That's horrible to see. Played Jones, got the minus points, but he did get KDB in for Ali, so he made some points back.
Just going on these Mahrez early transfers, I do think we've talked about it on the boards a lot, and yes, you're a big advocate of never doing them at all. I never, but definitely not in the final week of the January transfer window.
Don't make early moves.
It's a bad time to do it because also I've said on the board that some of the teams had 2 matches. But having said that, the chain of events, because I wasn't on the podcast last week, but the 2 players that I said I was looking at were Sane and Mahrez. And what happened? I mean, only because Sane got the injury did City go after Mahrez, which upset Mahrez, which knocked Mahrez out. So it was an extraordinary chain of events that the people who got Mahrez in early paid the price for. And to be fair, we did talk about this. I know that Az raised it. When you got Mahrez, Az says, it's a chance for speculation. And you rightly said, Claude Puel says he's going nowhere. So actually, it looked like everything was fine and dandy with Mahrez. So I can kind of see why people did take the risk. But it was just unfortunate that Sane got that injury. And then that's what followed. I don't think City were gone for Mahrez otherwise. It's only because they've lost that key man. So it was unfortunate. It wouldn't have happened other than with that Cardiff tackle, but it's always a chance. There's always a chance, like you say, around this time.
Yeah.
I got one thing right in January.
You did. You called that one. You absolutely called that one.
My favourite thing, just quickly, about those transfers for the ones that got rid of Eriksen is like sometimes you get rid of a player and you think, we've got to get through the match before they punish me. You punish those sellers in 10 seconds if they're watching that game. That'd be a killer if I got rid of him.
It was almost a record. Ledley King actually holds the record. I think it was half a second. But yeah, it's not awful. First kick touch of the ball. But we've got some smooths as well. There are some people who had a good game week. So Kings of Leon and Ambriacina Inter got Las Salas' goal. Isn't that lovely when your cheap defender scores a goal? That's a nice feeling. KTK Interessa. He got Walcott in for Arnautovic. He's the one that did it. And he also had Jordan Ayew already in his squad. So it's another classic example of like you make a good move and everything else fits into place as well. And do I not like Organi? Got Wilson in for Calvert-Lewin. So once again, another great move there. He actually did that. He did that for a price rise. So he was looking at because he didn't actually fancy Wilson in this fixture, but he thought, I might as well because I think he's going to go up in price. So yeah, worked out really well for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, I don't think anyone would have backed Wilson for any returns at Chelsea, but he absolutely delivered. And now he's got fantastic fixtures. He's on the rise, of course, and that's a fantastic move. Going Walcott early, I just didn't fancy it at all. And fair play to everyone who did. And it would have been such an easy move for me. And it was so obvious, but I built a case against it, which was strong enough to convince me otherwise. So KTK, Terresto, and others that went Walcott. Congratulations for talking yourself into that move, because it's paid off handsomely, and he looks well placed for more returns. This would be the script for Arsenal as well.
I think, like, overall, looking at all those rough with the smooth, just going back to the Mahrez point, because that was a real shock, spanner in the works, and it was unfolding, going from City have made an offer, now they haven't, to Mahrez has put a transfer request, hasn't travelled with the squad. All this was planning out literally an hour or two before the deadline. So midweek, it's a midweek as well. So we haven't got the luxury of a nice Saturday morning to do that. Everyone's at work, they're trying to get home from work, they're commuting, whatever they're doing, and they've got to make these snap decisions. So it's a miracle, really, that anyone that scored any points, really, because you've got to make these. You haven't got time to look at all the tables. You just got to go with your gut. And it's worked with some, hasn't with others.
That's exactly as it is, because I was looking at several moves going into it. I was all set to do Mahrez when Sane got his injury. Sane was going to be the one who was going to come in, but then it switched to Mahrez. I heard about the speculation the day before, and the day before I could have got Aguero in and Choupo-Moting in, and I looked at that and thought, if I'm going to take a hit, why don't I just get Aguero and captain him? I was going to do it, and then I thought, no, I'm going to wait and see, because this Mahrez stuff is probably gossip. It's not going to happen. Next day, it turned out not to be. I couldn't get it anymore. I was 0-1 out on the Aguero move, so I couldn't do that, which is why I ended up folding back into Hazard. And I was rushed. I think an hour before deadline is when it was obvious he wasn't in the squad, or that's what Sky was saying. And then I had to make a decision. And you're absolutely right. Normally, we have Friday night, you sleep on it, you wake up Saturday morning, you got your bacon sandwich, and you're sitting there contemplating stuff. None of that. It was straight out the car, and I got an hour to go. It was not great, but that's what we get. It was a hectic time, and I don't
think I like midweek games anymore.
No.
They're just always too stressful. Yeah, they're just too stressful. I never get them right. It ruins 2 evenings of my week, and then I've got the weekend to be ruined as well. Yeah.
The only good thing about it is, if you don't do well, you've only got a short period to get, to gloat about it, or to mope about it rather. So it's not bad in that respect. But it was a very average game week. And I looked at the fixture and thought there's going to be some big scores here. I looked at the captains and thought Hazard, Aguero, Salah, double figures, these guys, and it never quite happened. Hazard obviously didn't do well. It was De Bruyne and someone Sterling as well who kind of did the best, and they were on the periphery of my thinking in terms of the captaincy. I toyed with it, but never looked beyond those three really, and it just didn't really happen for any of them particularly. But that's the way it is. Okay, what's next? My notes have just run out of battery, so I'm dead now. I can't. I've got no information whatsoever. Right. So it's over to you, Jonty.
So you're going to wing it then. So
I'm totally going to wing it.
So this is something about formation. And it's something a lot of people are asking, is it time for 3-4-3? So basically, the way the template's going at the moment, or has been, everyone's been stocking up on midfielders, and it's been largely 3-5-2 for a lot of people. But a few things have happened. So Anish says, with budget midfield options seemingly not performing as consistently as they have been, and the emergence of some very good third striker options, particularly after the transfer window, is it time to reconsider 3-5-2, go for 3-4-3? He, for example, has a front line now of Aguero, Firmino and Wilson in a 3-4-3. And that, I think, will be quite a popular lineup. Could even become a template. So, yeah, Liverpool Fantasy One asked a very similar thing. What about 3-4-3? And Bump Moreland, once again, specifically getting Wilson mentioned there. Is Wilson worth a shift to 3-4-3? We're going to come to some of the other players that have come in a bit later from the transfer window. But already we're starting to see options, and there's something I noticed as well earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it, and I think it's just a value. When the value switches from one area of the squad to the next, we've seen value in midfield so often, and it's very possible it will switch back to midfield soon. And say Mkhitaryan starts firing, and suddenly it's Mkhitaryan, it's Walcott. We've got to have those two alongside Salah and Sterling. Suddenly, then we are going back to 5. Who knows? But at the moment, I look at it and think, well, the value that Ayew and Wilson are offering now, plus with the fixtures they've got, you stick those two alongside Kane, and Ayew and Wilson could keep pace with Aguero and Firmino over that run, the fixtures that they've got, possibly. We think Wilson's on pens, Ayew could be as well. So I can see the merits of it for sure, and it is absolutely tempting. I don't know whether I would go for obviously a lot of managers are going for cheap midfielder again, going back to the Loftus-Cheek model. and actually revisiting Palace and MacArthur or Milivojevic. But I said that quite well there. I was quite pleased there. But I still think I'd keep a fifth midfielder that I'd be happy playing. Well, maybe you are Milivojevic, but you know what I mean? I just think there's still enough value about, maybe it'd be a Choupo-Moting or something like that, where I wouldn't be too outraged if I had to play them. So that I'm looking at it, but I'm not looking at it with an idea of abandoning 5 midfield just yet. So that's my take on it anyway. But certainly there's merits in it. The value is shifting to the forwards at the moment.
Well, what I did with my slightly panic, oh God, Mahrez isn't going to play, is I thought what I'll do is I'll set myself up so I'm as flexible as possible. I've gone fully yogic on this. And I saw an opportunity to get Milivojevic in because he's on penalties. He had a good away record. I thought he might get some in that West Ham game. But he's also a good player in that he's going to play and he could get me points even when he's on the bench. So it could be that I'm going to need my first bench player. And also he's got Newcastle next. So he had 2 good fixtures coming up. So I'm happy to play him this week as well in a 3-5-2 still. But what he does offer is something, because at the moment I've got Calvert-Lewin. There's lots of us with Calvert-Lewin. He's 5.23. And that's just still slightly too much to put on your bench. I'm much happier having 4.7, but there aren't any real strikers that are nailed on 4.5 to 4.8 or so. I mean, there's Yajoa's gone to Brighton. There's Nias still, but they're not nailed on at all. Whereas some of these Palace midfielders are, and so you can play them there. And so that I saw an opportunity to basically free up in the future about $500,000 that I can put back into my first 11 because I want to maximise that team value within the 11 players that I want to actually play. And because I was noticing there was suddenly lots of the last few weeks, there's probably only 2 or 3 strikers I've wanted. Now there's 5 or 6 I'm thinking about, and that's a complete change around. So I've now got options there, and I think a lot of other people are starting to think that way. I don't know whether it'll work out, but as you said, it's about following the money as well. So, I mean, I had a little look at some of the strikers. So I was looking at kind of who is scoring recently. So I've taken the last 3 game weeks of those that have scored 2 or more goals. 6 are strikers. Now, a while ago, a lot of those were midfielders, but 6 are strikers. So you've got Aguero, Kane, Firmino. So these are all reliable picks. 2 of them is a good policy, I think. And then you've got Jordan Ayew. You've got Callum Wilson offering great value and scoring goals. Vardy as well, your man Vardy. He might not be getting those shots away, but we know with Vardy, he doesn't need lots of shots. He's accurate, and he's on penalties, and he scores penalties. So I'd argue, on current form, there is definitely a case for 3-man front line of 2 of Aguero, Kane, Firmino, Vardy, and one of these others as well. And as we're going to come on to, there's all these other options as well. Arsenal suddenly have perhaps a very good striker. We don't know yet. Could be. Soon everyone might want him in as well. But I looked at their equivalent. So the equivalents of Jordan Ayew in midfield who've been scoring. Well, Sam Clucas, okay. He's had
only against Arsenal.
We discussed earlier in the week. He's had 3 shots all season. All have been goals and all have been against Arsenal. So he basically can only score against Arsenal. Ward-Prowse is another. Don't fancy him. Noble, do not fancy him at all. So the equivalent of Jordan Ayew, Callum Wilson, if you want to invest that into a midfield role, is Joss, I think. So I think there's better options up front.
The thing is, though, the reason why I'm looking at Wilson and Ayew is that I look at it and think, well, I'm going to captain Kane most weeks. Obviously, this is a bad period for the Kane captaincy, but once he's out of these 2 more fixtures, we'll be looking at Kane again. So I don't know if I want to spend 9-10 million on a second striker and not captain them when there's Wilson and Ayew who are actually scoring goals at a decent rate who are half the price of that. So
you could get Kane, Ayew, and Wilson.
I know exactly.
It's not a preposterous idea.
No, exactly. And I think for the fixtures they've got, it's fine. But I think it is short term. I mean, the issue I said is it only takes Mkhitaryan to score at the weekend. It only takes Lingard to score again. And suddenly we're like, oh, actually, no, it's not a good idea. So it can turn very, very quickly. But at the moment, it's a good approach. I like your yogic approach, John T. Have you heard of Pilates? I think he turned down a deadline day move. He's a centre back, I think. Very
good. Yeah, Pilates is not my area of expertise. I think like the template's definitely moving to 3 up front, and I think Wilson is that player who I mentioned a few weeks ago. I don't think there's a better player to have under 7 million than Wilson, and he's 5.8. I think he's going up tonight. So if you are thinking of getting him, probably the best time to jump on. So yeah, I've bought him in this week, and I'm very happy with that. The thing is that the fixtures just change so much, and I've said it before. You've got to kind of stay. You've got to stay on the wave. You've got to ride the wave of these templates. So I think in a few weeks, Tottenham's fixtures change dramatically, and then suddenly they've got a sea of green, and then you might be looking at bringing in Eriksen and Ali and going back to 5 in midfield, maybe even tripling up on Spurs if you're chasing. I don't think Firmino is really, as you've said, Mark, I don't think Firmino really is that player who everyone needs to have. And if you are looking at replacing Firmino for Eriksen and switching your funds into midfield for players on free kicks and corners, could be quite a good move. All you need is just for a few players just to start performing, and then suddenly you're moving your funds elsewhere. It could even happen in defence. If we know around the Champions League times, I think we might see some more rotation. So it might actually be wise to put some more money in defence and find some defenders who are nailed on and playing well. Yeah,
I think it is a time of transition for absolutely. I mean, because we've got these new players coming in, Aubameyang we haven't talked about in detail yet, but the value in up front, but also there is question marks in defence, and I think I'm looking now and going, Otamendi might get rested at the weekend. Certainly could for Leicester game, I think. I look at Phil Jones and go, okay, he's got 2 good fixtures, and then he's got a bad run, and United are already conceding shots to teams, so I'm not convinced on him beyond the next 2. I look at Chelsea, Christensen. Surely I've got to get rid because of the curse. I mean, that is now confirmed. I mean, it's not even hearsay anymore. It's absolutely confirmed. Alonso, suddenly, is he a rotation risk now? So many question marks everywhere in defence that I find myself now thinking I'm going back to Charlie Daniels. I'm looking at Mawson. I'm looking at Maguire. I'm looking a tier down. And then suddenly that's taking money out of defence. And where's that going? Well, it is a big period of change. Andy, what are you making of it at the moment? Are you buying into the 3 up front again?
Yeah, I hate to echo all your thoughts, but pretty much it's just because of pretty much what Johnny said. There's not really a midfielder, unless Lingard goes and scores against Huddersfield, for 6 million or less, there's not a midfielder that I really want to play. Whereas IU's obviously done really well, and Swansea got some nice fixtures coming up. And the other reason I'm looking that way is to kind of take some money out of defence, like you said, get IU up front, worth playing for 5.1, 5.2 million, and then I can get Sanchez or De Bruyne in, someone like that. Whereas if I stick to 3-5-2 with the kind of current structure, it's a bit more difficult to do that. So, like Johnny said as well, there's no player under 5 million that is playing up front. I've got Crouch, which is a stupid move. He's out of favour. He's only scored coming off the bench. Even if he was playing 90 minutes, he's not scoring anyway. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at 3-4-3, just chasing where the value is right now. Nothing more to it. What I don't want to do is, I think some people get stuck into, I'm now playing 3-4-3 and that's it, or I'm now playing 3-4-2. I'm just looking that way just because of the players that are currently looking like good value. And I think that formation change is kind of being helped out by the fact the 8 million-ish midfielders are kind of starting to dry up a little bit. I think the ones that are doing really well are now much more expensive than that. Obviously, Silva's got injured, Sané's got injured, Son's got some tougher fixtures. We're really resting on Walcott and Mkhitaryan, like you said. So I think it's just shifting because that's just how the game is right now. The cheaper midfielders are maybe drying up a little, and the cheaper strikers are putting on a show. And why wouldn't you chase the points?
Yeah, I think the danger is, though, that we're going to carry out surgery and then it can switch back again. Because, like I said, it only takes Mkhitaryan to impress at the weekend. Like, if he shows a good relationship with Aubameyang again, which you know he had, and he sets up a couple of goals, suddenly we go, blimey, those two in the Arsenal team, I want Mkhitaryan. And Lingard, he's quite capable of scoring a 25-yarder and convincing us all he's a gift again, which he convinced me weeks ago. And since, quite predictably, has gone off the boil. So it can all change quickly, and that's I want to do it, but I'm not prepared to take hits to do it yet. I'm going to have to do it in steps, and while I'm making those steps, I'm going to have to see further evidence that it's the right thing.
This is why it's so important right now to try and hold that transfer. I've got 2 transfers, so I feel like I can easily make that little mini wildcard switch. And then hopefully, if I've planned well enough, I won't need to make a transfer, unless there's an injury or something, of course, then I won't need a transfer next week or the week after. And then, yeah, if Mkhitaryan, because, for example, Mkhitaryan, next 3 fixtures, I'm not that bothered. I think they're, not that great that I can just see how he fits in that Arsenal team and see how he's playing and then think about him. So I don't think okay, Walcott scoring a brace has kind of scuppered this thought process, but there's no midfielder that I feel like I have to get on right now. They've all got not okay fixtures, if you know what I mean. There's no one's got the perfect run of fixtures in that cheap midfield bracket right now, around the 7-8 million mark. So a few weeks, you get onto the 3-4-3, and if it doesn't work out, switch back.
Yeah, no, I think you're in a great position with the 2 free transfers, and I think I'm quite annoyed that Christensen's got this injury now. I'm waiting until Friday and seeing what happens, because my plan was I'm either going to bank the transfer or I was going to look at downgrading Otamendi, or more likely, in the light of what Walcott and Wilson did, probably bank it and then go that way next week. Now I don't think I can. I think I've probably got to change Christensen. Let's see what happens Friday. But like I said, I think I'm coming around to that way of thinking, but I'm wary of going that way and investing too much in it, as in ripping my team up completely to go 3-4-3. I think I'm gradually going that way.
I don't think I haven't yet gone 3-4-3. But I'm in a position where I could. But I don't think you need to rip your team up. I think as long as you can get out of it in a couple of moves, I don't think it's too much of a problem. Because yes, there are players like Walcott who offer good value and essentially could be potentially playing like a striker. I just think at the moment, I just think the real problem is that it's not a season where you've got a 4.5 striker that you can play and you're happy to come off your bench and get you 2, 3, maybe 5 points. They just don't exist at the moment. And I think that's the big thing. And it's just very annoying, people like me with Calvert-Lewin. You're just looking at that more than 5 million and you're benching him every single week. It's just, it can't be sustained really. But yeah, no, I could go 3-5-2 still, because Milivojevic could just be upgraded to someone else.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, we're saying this on the backdrop of Lingard out of form, Shaqiri didn't deliver. But again, they could at the weekend, and then suddenly we're going, oh, Shaqiri doesn't look too bad again. You know, he's on penalties, he's on free kick. You know, there are factors. That's why we got him in. And a week later, we're suddenly going, oh no, I want to downgrade him to a 4.2. But, you know, it could change very quickly.
Yeah, anyone who got Shaqiri in, it's because he's got Bournemouth next, and he's got Brighton at home, and then he's got Leicester. Yeah. So they're quite good fixtures coming out. That's what you got him in for. And also, this is something that we did have some questions on it, but I just thought it was a bit too soon to go into detail about it. But it's something we'll definitely address soon. Is the blank fixtures, which are very likely to be game week 31 and 35, and those that have already used a free hit chip or plan to use their free hit chip later, they actually do need to start thinking about their players in game week 31 now. And of course, Everton and Stoke do not have a blank. They play that week. We know that. So Shaqiri could arguably be, for those players, a really shrewd long-term investment there, as could Walcott.
Yeah, I mean, if they carry on delivering, that's the thing. I think we've said it about Lingard. There are certain players, and these midfielders around less than 8 million, they've got a small shelf life. Our tolerance of them is small. So as soon as they get into 3-4 blanks, we're like, they've got to go. Whereas I think, you know, when you're spending 5 or 6 million on a midfielder, it gets less. But then you go down to Miller. You don't care what Milivojevic does for you, but he's because you know you're not expecting much. Whereas when you go up to 6, you're looking at Shaqiri and go, well, I expect to return every 3 weeks, and if he's not doing that, he's out. Same for Lingard. He's playing for Man United, but unless he's getting me a point every third week, I think he's probably got to go.
He kind of feels on borrowed time, doesn't he? Because you're always waiting, you're always looking at that team sheet, looking to see Lingard dropped, and that kind of adds a little bit more. You know, it makes me a little bit more aware of him in my team, and makes me want to get him out even more.
Yeah,
but he survived my rant last week. I don't really know how.
Yeah, the thing is, he got that goal in the cup, and it was a good goal again. And then him and Pogba went off after 6. I don't think we can read too much into that Spurs performance. They were pretty bad, United. It was a bad night for them, and I don't know. I think the Huddersfield game is key. If Lingard gets dropped for that, then we're in a point where we've got to get rid, because they're the matches we need him for. So I think this weekend's going to be a pivotal one for the 3-4-3. I think it could really turn that way after this weekend, particularly if Wilson delivers as I expect him to.
There are also more options coming as well.
Okay.
So the transfer window. Now we've suddenly got some more strikers as well, and here's we've got some questions on that. So Toblerone 52 was such an action-packed transfer window. It was, wasn't it? It was. Who, if any, of the new signings are we targeting, and why? VZ Boy, should we consider Aubameyang, or is it Aubameyang, or just Boomerang. Are we just? It's difficult to pronounce him, so we're just. Should we be considering it?
Aubameyang.
Mike Harbrow, is Giroud worth a gamble on? I think so. Surely he's going to walk into this misfiring Chelsea team. I think. Yeah, we'll talk about him a bit later, but I like him. President Giggs, how many of you are jumping aboard the Walcott wagon? So we discussed Walcott a bit already. But yes, another move there. And Shola Amiobi, how many people are still considering Sanchez after last night's woeful performance? So yet another fantasy legend, really, of the past who has moved teams. Yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, the only two that I'm really taking seriously are Walcott and Mkhitaryan at the moment. That could change. I mean, the thing about Aubameyang is that we're kind of presuming that he's going to come in and it'll be Mkhitaryan who provides the value, and that's what I'm looking for. I guess he could come in, and it's never going to be Kane who leaves my team. It'll be Hazard who's downgraded to get Aubameyang in, which is an easy option to do. But he's going to have to convince over a longer period of time. You said earlier in the Scoutcast that they could be getting a good striker. They are getting a good striker. We know the record is amazing. It's not a question of how good he is. It's whether or not he settles and what formation they play in. Will he get penalties? There's quite a few variables, and we need the eye test, don't we? I mean, I've watched him play for Dortmund. We know what he's capable of, but we need the eye test in the Premier League, and we need to see that he's going to get straight into the group. So I'm wait and see on him, and I'm hoping it's Mkhitaryan who gets boosted because I'm all about the value there. Andy, how are you feeling about him?
I mean, like you say, like he's one of the best strikers in the world, and Arsenal have got him. So you'd imagine he's going to do well. 10.5 million. I was hoping he'd come in a bit cheaper just to kind of mix things up and make him an easy pick. I know.
Wishful thinking that one.
Wishful thinking, I know. But everyone, a lot of people are saying 10.5 is too cheap. That's how much they rate him. So I don't know. Like you said, like I said earlier about looking at Mkhitaryan, they've got Everton at home, Spurs away, and Man City. And I don't feel like they're fixtures where I have to jump straight on him. I can wait. I've also got a few concerns. I feel like it's almost. I know he was linked with Arsenal previously. It almost feels a bit like when Man United bought Di Maria. They kind of just bought him because they needed to buy someone, and he was available in January. But he is a world-class striker. But how is he going to fit in? They've got Ozil and Mkhitaryan, who's both best positions at number 10. They've got Lacazette. Is he now just going to be benched? I know he's not been doing very well, but surely Wenger doesn't want to keep him on the bench. So I think Aubameyang in early career played kind of inside forward type role. So will he play there? I mean, that seems unlikely, but I just think there's enough kind of doubts in my mind that I'm going to wait, especially for 10.5 million. I'd have to find money to upgrade Firmino, who's consistent right now. Obviously, everyone else has got probably Aguero, who's also been really consistent right now. So I think the fixtures are nice after the next three, and I'd definitely be looking at him then. But right now, unless you really want a differential, I don't know if he's worth jumping straight on. They could prove me wrong because he's so good.
Yeah, I think those with Aguero have got. It's a lovely situation for them because they've got Aguero for this nice run. Jesus comes back maybe, and when he comes back, they'd have had time to look at Aubameyang. The money's in the bank effectively with Aguero. They can make the downgrade, so they're in a very good situation. I'm less so, but I've got Hazard, so I could do it in 2 moves maybe. But I think you're right. We go through these 3 fixtures and have a look. Because like you said, Lacazette, okay, if he's going to get put on the bench for some matches, does that mean he's going to come on in the last 30 minutes? So Aubameyang's going to lose some pitch time? Or is he going to be Lacazette on for Ozil? Don't think so. I can't even remember the last time Ozil was subbed. I've seen him not start, but not subbed. Mkhitaryan would be the one, I guess, who would be subbed early. He's used to that, let's face it. I don't know. Lots of questions, isn't there? And I think that's what the window gives us. Yes, some good players have been thrown in. Giroud's another one we're going to talk about in a minute. But they just give us questions at the moment. I don't think we can commit straight away. Now, those who went to Walcott straight away got their rewards, so perhaps I'm talking rubbish. But I do think this caution is the policy I'm going with. Az, what about you?
I really didn't want to have to do this and slate Arsenal, but I'm going to because I just don't think Wenger knows how to use those players. I don't think he's still got the know-how in him to be able to effectively use Lacazette, Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang, and get a load of goals from them. So I'm avoiding them all, and I just don't see it. I don't think. And I mean, their fixtures turned quite good in game week 29. That gives plenty of time to assess them. I just look at what Wenger's doing to Lacazette at the moment, like one of the most sought after strikers in Europe, and he just looks a shell of his former self. And I can just imagine the same thing happening with Aubameyang, because I've been looking at his stats. All of his goals come from the penalty area. So where's Lacazette going to play? So if Aubameyang plays behind Lacazette, does that mean he's not going to get into the penalty area as much and he won't be as effective? Or does it mean Lacazette's going to be benched? I can't see a system. And Mkhitaryan's being played in midfield as well. He came on. He was almost a centre mid, wasn't he? He came on for Xhaka or someone in the game against Swansea. So I just don't know how Wenger's going to do it, and I don't think he's capable.
Wow, well, that is harsh words. I can almost see the gunners at the gate now with the pitchforks.
Yeah.
Draw your curtains now, as if I was you. I mean, that beard is not going to protect you. You need a bigger disguise than that. It's tough. I know what you're saying, and you've got to throw in Ramsey in there as well, quality player. Can't drop Wilshere at the moment, surely. He's got the sniffles, but you get him back in the team as soon as he's fit. Then where does Ramsey play? Does Ramsey go on the bench? Surely not. He's probably been their best player in the early season. He's got to play Mkhitaryan, hasn't he? But he's got to play Ozil. Lacazette. I don't see where he is. But then, how does he keep him happy? And it's not like they got Champions League either, is it? So Lacazette's going to be his Europa League striker?
He'll do what he always does. He'll just shoehorn him in wherever. So he'll be out on the wing or something. It's like when Ramsey's great central midfielder. What's he good at? Box to box, off he pops. So suddenly he's got a wealth of options. I'll just put him out on the wing. And then suddenly you see his productivity just completely disappear. Az is completely right to have a pop at A-Wings or whatever the new version of the hate figure is. And he's quite right to do that, because it is a work in progress. We don't know. But I think, the signs are good there for these Arsenal assets. But I think, for me, definitely need another couple of weeks just to see where the hell they're all going to fit.
I don't agree that he doesn't know what he's doing. I just don't know if he's got the courage to put it into place. That's what I think. I think we've seen it with Sanchez as well. I remember watching that Liverpool defeat, that 4-0. I think it was 4-0. And clearly it was what it seemed to be was Wenger's decision to bring Sanchez back into the team, which just destroyed the morale, and they were just devastated in the first 30 minutes by Liverpool. And I think it's a similar situation here now. You look at this and go, how am I going to deal with this? And I don't think he's got almost the courage to go, Lacazette's not good enough. He needs to be benched. And he'll try and, like you say, he'll try and fit it somehow, and it could be a mess. But
he's an experienced manager, but he was making the same mistake Koeman made at Everton, which was just to get 10 of the same player, and then go, oh my God, why is there no balance to my side? Well, yeah. So basically, Wenger needed to get a centre back. All the Arsenal fans saying, get centre backs, get a defensive midfielder. You can't rely on Xhaka, and he didn't. So he's just got more and more of the same. But for fancy terms, they can be quite profitable. The player I'm looking at is definitely Giroud. I think he really compares well against other strikers. So I was having a look at last 4 minutes per goal attempt in the box, and so you got top of the pile. This is the last 4 matches. Kane, 22.5 minutes. So that's excellent. He's completely top of the pile. And then you got Giroud, and he's only made 1 start. So in the last 4 matches, that's 3 sub appearances and 1 start. His minutes per goal attempt in the box is 34.8. So he's just second there to Kane, and I think that's absolutely incredible that Giroud is so prolific there. So he's had 17 penalty area touches in his last 4 matches. 1 start, bear in mind. Hardly any minutes at all. Now, Morata's had 4 starts in his last 4, and he's had 22 penalty areas. He's 5 more than Giroud. So Giroud is what you want. He's a selfish striker that hangs around the box and scores goals.
Well, the thing is about Giroud as well, I noticed, minutes per goal, he's top. This season, other than
Mark, if you'd have hung around for the last couple of minutes,
I had to do a power panic.
You did a J.
Power panic, yeah, but I didn't move the camera around with me all around the house.
I was just comparing him to Kane, and I was saying over the last 4, he's had just about 1 start as well. Isn't that incredible, though, as well? That it's just that 1 start. But yeah, he's comparable really to the likes of Kane in terms of his minutes per goal attempt.
And last season he ranked 4th for minutes per goal as well. So it's not a fluke this season. So
now I'm coupling that with the situation with Morata at the moment. He's on compassionate leave, and he's got some back injury as well. So it's really, really unlikely that he's going to be starting. I think Giroud is in Conte's plans to start. I think that suddenly also makes Hazard a really good option, because suddenly you've got a really good striker alongside you, rather than having to be that kind of false 9. And they're playing Watford, and Watford are really awful at home. In fact, they're one of the worst home defences this season. So I think it all adds up to, Giroud doing well. I think he's going to do really well. I say all of that, and if he's not going to start, and it's Hazard in a false 9, and Giroud on the bench comes on for 10 minutes, well, it all goes out the window. But in theory, Giroud could be in for a good game.
There's no chance. He'll start. He'll start for sure after that performance against Bournemouth. And the thing is, what you got to throw in as well is that Willian could be fit, and you put Willian and Hazard along with Giroud. And I mean, Chelsea are low on confidence, but that'll be enough to knock over Watford. You would have thought. I think when Willian plays, Hazard is even better as well. I think Willian is a fantastic player, and he's been unfortunate. He's like Giroud. When he gets the minutes, he produces. I think they've stumbled on a good front three there, and Arsenal will perhaps regret losing Giroud. Wouldn't it be ironic if Giroud actually ends up scoring more goals over these final game weeks than Aubameyang? It's not out of the question, to be honest. So, but do you not? Morata, what happens now? I mean, he's been Chelsea have trolled me all season. Morata, just one of the many Chelsea players who have. Surely Morata has got to still figure in this Chelsea team, even if Giroud starts the next 2. Is there not going to be rotation?
I get the sense that Conte is quite vindictive with some of this stuff, and I think he reminds me of Mourinho a bit. I think he's going to kind of throw the book at Morata, and he's going to start with Giroud, because he's been looking for this target man now for since the transfer window opened, and it was Crouch, and then it was Ashley Barnes, and then it was everyone. Everyone's been linked, and he's definitely got the best of all of the players that he's been linked with. And I feel like that is the player that Conte wanted. And Morata was always kind of second choice, wasn't he? Because that you wanted Lukaku, he went to United, ended up with Morata. So I actually kind of think that Giroud's going to oust Morata from the team. There's bound to be rotation between them, because they're both competing for that spot. But I think definitely in the short term, for the next couple of fixtures, Giroud's going to get that spot. And if he does well, then he might even cement it.
Yeah, you got it in for managers tonight, haven't you? Wenger, now Conte. It's who's next on the list? You'll be picking on Eddie Howe next, and I'm going to have to come round myself. Andy, what's your thoughts on Giroud? I mean, he's a player that we wanted to use as a fantasy asset, never been able to, because effectively he's never at regular starts. I can't remember a time when he's been nailed on for Arsenal where we could invest in him. Have we got that time now at Chelsea?
Until Morata's back, I just don't see Morata staying out of that team once he's back fully fit. I think there's definitely wouldn't argue against Giroud's goal scoring capabilities. For someone that starts on the bench so often, his goal scoring record's brilliant. I just think, like Al says, Watford away, West Brom at home's good. And like if you're playing like maybe a daily fantasy game or draft or something like that, it looks good. But then it's United and City away. Do you really want him for that? Probably not. Is Morata going to be back there? I just think realistically, for 8.2 million, no one's going to be bringing him in right now. Has he left one club on the bench to join another club on the bench? I think possibly yes. Chelsea really wanted a backup. Arsenal had to do it to get the Aubameyang move through. So how much of it was Giroud being pushed out? Do we even know if he wanted to leave Arsenal? I'm not convinced he's been given any indication that he's going to be first choice. Are they going to drop a £70 million striker once he's fully fit? I just don't think so. But I do think he's got a bit of a point with Conte, that he is kind of it's my way or the highway, and if you're not going to play well, then you're out. And also, there's a bit of problems at Chelsea. He's being very negative right now, even like kind of saying they're going to struggle to get top 4. And as players, that's not what you want to hear your manager saying. So will they now come out and play for him? Is he going to lose the dressing room like Mourinho did? I don't know. I've got Alonso for Chelsea. I'm not really looking at bringing anyone else in from them right now. I would love a nailed-on Willian, but I don't even know if he's back fit yet, and if he'll definitely play. He should play. I agree with you that they'll look like a better team with him in. But again, he's just a bit like Giroud. He's never really been nailed on at any point. He's just too much of a risk. So Yeah, for me, sure, if Giroud becomes nailed on and Morata's out for a while, then yes, I'd definitely look at him. But with the fixtures coming up and me not thinking he's been bought as a first-choice striker, 8.2 million, no, not for me.
It's interesting because if you're Giroud, you would go, well, I'm not moving unless I get assured first-team football. But you could be right. He could be pushed out. I mean,
as just paying more money. They might just be paying him more money.
It could be that. I mean, Az is very close to Wenger, so Az might know a bit of inside track on that, whether or not he was pushed out. But I don't know. I'd like Giroud to work out. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Because I think I said earlier, he's a player we've always looked at from afar and gone, oh, if only he was nailed on, we'd have him. We'd have him in our teams. And there was a little spell last year where he was coming on the sub for Arsenal 2 seasons ago, and he was coming on the sub for Arsenal. And I really thought he was going to get a run in the team, and it never happened. So I do hope we see more of him.
He's got one of the best records off the bench, isn't he, of anyone in Premier League history. So
yeah, but we're not going to spend 8-2 for that, are we? That's the thing. Especially with Wilson and Ayew around at the moment. I think it's one to watch for sure. I'm quite happy about it because I've got Hazard at the moment. I'm planning on keeping Hazard for the next 2, and I just hope that it lifts him a bit. Should do. We'll see, especially if Williams back as well. Okay. Anything else on the window there? Any other questions on that?
No, really. I mean, we can. Well, the next section really is about defenders. So there are some changes there that have happened in the window which do affect. So, for example, KTK into Leicester. How will Laporte? Is it Laporte or Laporte?
Laporte.
Oh, that's good. That's nice and easy for me. Laporte affect Otamendi's starts. So suddenly there's choice at the back for Man City, which is not what you want to hear as an Otamendi owner. So yeah, he's a very expensive signing. But then also we've got the Emerson situation at Chelsea as well. So he's come in as a backup for Alonso. So suddenly Alonso has a slight threat of rotation as well. So Shakhtar man asked time to get rid of Otamendi. And it chimes with Captain Warlock saying, what's the best Christensen replacement? Pretty much anyone. Bob Bradley's opportunity, he also brings up about Alonso. Is he actually worth getting now with this threat of rotation? I don't personally think it's going to be a serious threat of rotation, but it's definitely there. So we're looking at some building on from that, who to get in really. So over mid-wicket and Anzi Babkin. Do Swansea defenders merit investment? Mawson in particular looks like offering returns both ends of the pitch. And Sadio Sané, kind of rounding it up really. Is it actually time now to move to a cheap defence? So one of the reasons he's probably saying that is because he's had a look at the fixture list. And for the next 3, top by some margin is Bournemouth, who have lots of nice cheap defenders, Daniels in particular, Stoke, Huddersfield, Newcastle. And then you've got Brighton, who still can't keep a clean sheet, but perhaps they will now they've actually got some attackers to keep the rest of their opponents busy. They've got West Ham, Stoke and Swansea. And then you've got Stoke as well. 2 clean sheets already. Bournemouth, Brighton and Leicester. I think we mentioned that earlier. And then you've got Swansea, they've got Leicester. And then they've got Burnley at home, Brighton away. These are great clean sheet opportunities there. That's why I've been keeping hold of Fabianski, who's defying logic and still delivering points. But yeah, no, I can see why they're thinking that. So we're looking at transfer moves. Everyone wants to change their defenders. And people are starting to look at cheap defenders.
Yeah, just a view on Otamendi, because I did go into the next 2 games and think that he's going to get a rest at some point. I don't think it will come for Burnley, because I look at it and think Laporte made an early debut because Stones was ill, and also he was never going to play Company back-to-back midweek weekend. Company's back in the frame for Burnley, I think, and I think Company will play at Burnley. I think it'll be Otamendi and Company against Burnley, because he'll look at the Leicester game, the one before the Champions League, and go, that's the one where I don't want Otamendi playing because it's 3 days before the Champions League. Otamendi, without doubt, is their first choice defender, above Stones, above Laporte. He's absolute mainstay. So I think Otamendi will be rested for Leicester, and for that reason, I think he starts at Burnley. Because Burnley, I don't think you want to throw Laporte in against Burnley. That is going to be an education for him in the extreme. I think Company can deal with it. It's the kind of game he should be able to do. There's a lack of pace for Burnley. Big guys, lots of long balls. Company should be okay. So I think it's fine. But once we get into Champions League and once we see, if I'm right and Otamendi is rested for Leicester, then what happens if they get deeper into Champions League, which is a good chance they will, suddenly we're looking at 3 or 4 games, and probably games where we want Otamendi because they're clean sheet opportunities, where he won't play. The other thing is, it's a 15-point gap now. And I know we've said Pep's not going to get complacent. But surely when it gets to 20, 22, 23 points, he can afford to start resting people in the Champions League. So I do think Otamendi could be on borrowed time now, particularly as we've made a lot of money out of him. And particularly, as you say, there are cheaper options there. And I did plan Otamendi downgrade this week or next week, but because of Christensen, I can't do it. So I'm going Christensen to Daniels if I have to make a transfer this week. I think Daniels, a player I like, fixtures are strong. He's playing wing back as well, isn't he, a lot of the time? So he was even effective as a fullback, as a wing back, should be more so. So that's my view on Otamendi, and Daniels for me is the first choice. Mawson after that. And I think the Leicester situation is interesting because it's Chilwell and Simpson, both 4-3, and we don't know which yet are regular starters. When that sorts that out, then we've got a really good option there as well, I think. But Maguire is there if we want to spend more. That's my view. Az, how are you feeling about defenders at the moment? I mean, it is all changed, isn't it?
Yeah, and I agree with you on Otamendi. I think Stones is third choice now, which means that with the Champions League coming, he's probably the most likely to play in the Premier League. And I don't like it when Otamendi plays alongside Stones because I've got to stop slating him. I hate Stones. There you go. He's the last one I'm going to slate today. But I cannot.
What's wrong with John Stones?
I can't stand him. I think he's terrible. The amount of mistakes that guy makes, and having a defender who plays alongside him, no, thank you. So if Otamendi plays, he's probably going to be alongside Stones, and I don't like that. So I'm looking at getting rid. And I don't have a Man U defender, so I think doing an Otamendi to Jones switch in a few weeks is definitely on my agenda. There's some decent defenders emerging. I like the look of Bauer, the Stoke defender. 2
bookings, though, in 3 games.
Yeah, I saw that. 2 bookings in 3 games, but 2 clean sheets under Paul Lambert and a good run of fixtures. And if you look at the defence, he looks like the stand-up pick. So he's one that I'm looking at. Chilwell as well, 4.3, 4.4. Playing on the left. You've got the risk of Fuchs coming back, but if Fuchs comes back, he could even push Chilwell up to onto the wing.
Good point. If Mahrez is sulking, yeah.
If Mahrez is sulking, so I think that's also really attractive. So they're 2 budget defenders that I'd be considering.
Yeah, John Stoke, you prefer a Terry Butcher type defender, do you? You don't like all this fancy playing out of defence then business. You want a big centre back with blood on his head and a big bandage. That's what
he's no Rio Ferdinand, is he? I mean, Ferdinand could play the ball out and get involved in a bit of a scrap and didn't make mistakes. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Stones.
Andy, we're learning a lot about Az tonight. I've got to say, it's a huge insight into his psyche. Andy, your views on defenders right now? Are you all out for flushing cash out defence? I mean, it looks that way, doesn't it?
That's right. Well, right now I'm on Alonso Jones and Otamendi, so like about as expensive as it's going to get, really. And yeah, Otamendi's probably going to be the full man for me. Although I'm not as convinced he's going to get rested. I mean, how often does a centre back get rested? I think, like you say, he's first choice. I don't see it, and that's not why I'm getting rid of him. I basically want to take money out because 1, I want to put more money in midfield, and 2, there's like you've all said, there's some cheap defenders to get on, and he's kind of the fall guy because Man United, I just think, are going to keeping clean sheets, and I agree with Az. If Stones comes back in, that's where the problems have started. So, and obviously I don't want to get rid of Alonso just yet. So yeah, I'm looking at them pretty much the same players you've lined up. For me, it depends how much money I've got left over from other moves. So Daniels would be one I want. I got a bit of a soft spot for him. Already had a goal from him once this season against Man City. But I'm probably going to have to go down to like the 4.3-ish million bracket. So I'd definitely be looking at Chilwell. I don't think Simpson started the last game, did he? But he was fit for it.
No, he didn't. No, he started in the cup, and then they kept Amity in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, Chilwell started. The problem with Chilwell is it's a bit like. I don't know. I suppose it's a bit like Lingard that you're always going to look at that clean sheet and wonder if this is the game where Fuchs is going to play. But he's managers come in and played him last few weeks. So yeah, Chilwell for me really. And yes, I'm looking to flush money out because although we haven't spoken about him, I'm still looking at players like Sanchez to bring in, and I need money for that.
John, back to you, John T. I know you're a big Chas Daniels fan. If you turn the camera around, there's a big wallpaper made up entirely of Chas Daniels' pictures after his goal against Man City. So presumably he's coming in for you.
No, but he could do. He could do. Well, one of the problems I've had is I've actually gone the other way in that my defence was really cheap, and it was too cheap and starting to become too rubbish as well. So it was the likes of Kenny, Masuaku. I've got Schindler as well. I only really got him in to be on my bench, but I'm actually going to have to play him some weeks the way it's going at the moment. So that's why I got Alonso in. I wanted to get beef up my defence a bit, but now I've got Alonso and Otamendi. Otamendi could become someone like Jones. I still like having 3 cheap defenders. So what I did is I had a look at who's got the best fixtures, and also I like attacking defenders as well. So the top 10 sides for fixtures over the next 5. So top half is Swansea, Leicester, Southampton, Burnley, Bournemouth, West Brom, Everton, Brighton and Stoke. These are some of the kind of areas of budget teams that we should be looking at. I then cross-reference that against defenders that offer threats. So what I did is I looked at those defenders really recent as well. We've having a shot every game over the last 3. So they're averaging a shot a game every 3, which is actually quite high for a defender. So there's 13 defenders who fit that box. So obviously you would imagine Alonso's top there with 6. But there's some other options there. So we've mentioned some already. Mawson at Swansea. He is offering threat, continuing to at the moment. He's playing for a team with good fixtures and they're starting to keep clean sheets. Jack Stevens at Southampton is starting to get a run. He scored against my side, Brighton. He could be one there. Ben Mee. Burnley's fixtures start getting better. Ben Mee has been bubbling along there in the attacking defenders charts. If you've got him, keep him. Don't get rid of him. His time is coming, and he's one to consider. And there's Dawson at West Brom as well. Now, West Brom are quite good. Now, Dawson's once again the main attacking threat there. The way Pardew set them up, he's kind of gone retro, full Pulis with them, and he's trying to get their centre backs to score as well. So there's just some other names there who've got a blend of form and fixtures and offer attack. Charlie Daniels actually wasn't in the list. He's not actually that attacking. No,
I have looked at the stats and they're a bit disappointing, but I still stand by him. I still think it's time. I mean, looking at that, we've got a lot of choice, and these are players that I like as well. I mean, Dawson I'm a big fan of. Mawson I'm a big fan of. And if the fixtures fall nicely, I mean, maybe it's another route to getting money freed up. And that's why I'm frustrated about the Christensen injury at the moment, because
Shawcross is getting a bonus for Stoke as well. He's another one to add in there as well. Obviously Bauer, as mentioned as well. Yeah, loads of choice. So I mean, when you say Charlie Daniels, he's kind of on the list, but it's a big list. So I wouldn't 100% say Charlie Daniels.
No, fair enough. Okay, all good. Are we at the weekend preview? We've got another question before we go?
No. We're ready to go into the weekend preview and look at fancy island risks and clean sheets.
Okay, let's do this thing. We'll start with Andy, shall we? Let's go reverse order. Andy.
We're doing just clean sheets, was it, or both?
Let's do both at the same time.
Okay, I'll take Phil Jones's 9-pointer against Huddersfield for clean sheet, and then. Well, we already discussed this beforehand. This is never going to get past Green Wimwell, but I'm going to take Aubameyang, who is I know, a risk because he might not start. Apparently, I'm allowed that. I think it's actually pretty rubbish. But I can't think of another one on the spot. So
you would never ever better have him again. This is the only week you can have him because Wenger might not start him. So you're allowed.
Green Wimwell was just switched off.
Green Wimwell will be on the phone to me later. Yeah, he's not happy.
Deary me. I mean, I think you pronounced it correctly, but I still don't think you can have him. Okay, fair enough. So that's your
I'll take a different one. Here we go. I'll take a different one. Go on. Chelsea in defensive issues right now, or at least after the Bournemouth game. We'll go for Delafeu at Watford.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe. Yeah, it's interesting if Christensen's fit or Christensen's got a chance of playing, he's going to play because they were so dreadful when he went off, weren't they? It was just like. It was like they were down to 10 men in defence or something. It was like there was a massive gap there. Very, very strange. And they looked threatening Bournemouth when Christensen was on. As soon as he went off, it was a mess. I don't think David Lewis is going to fix it. So, yeah, you're right. They have got a few issues, but depends who's fit. Who are you going with? Your clean sheet and your fancy island risk?
I was going to say, if Andy can take Aubameyang, then I can have Sanchez, right? He's got loads. No, I'll take... I think this really is a must-win game for Brighton now against West Ham at home, and West Ham have just got so many injuries. They seem to have sold every player they've got. They somehow managed to get a result against Palace, which I was very surprised at. But I think this is a game Brighton need to win. So I'm going to go for Chiletto, who might not play because he's keeping Bruno out of the team at the moment.
Yeah, did you see he had a black eye as well? I don't think that's got anything to do with Bruno, but
it probably is. He's a bit of a hard man, Bruno. So probably did it himself. So I've been really impressed with him. I particularly against Chelsea a few weeks ago. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Could have had a penalty, really attacking. I think Brighton should keep a clean sheet in that game. I'm really hoping they win that. So he seems like quite a good pick. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, and I'll take Brighton for the clean sheet as well.
Okay, it's funny. I don't know what Jonty thinks of Shaleto. I think as a defender, he looks highly suspect, but he's very entertaining to watch because he's kind of like a very kind of cavalier in the way he plays, and he's exciting to watch.
Well, he looks like he's been beamed down from 1984 with his kind of long mullety hair.
Yeah.
He looks like from another age, like he's just stepped out of a time capsule. But that's fine. I agree. I think he's good, and if he's keeping Bruno out, then he must have something good going for him. I think that's good.
Or the black eye theory is correct. Okay, Jonty, what about you? What are you doing?
So who have I got left? I think I'm going to go for West Brom clean sheet. I think they've looked good. I think they've been targeting this one. It's something. Cyril Regis has been big talk about him recently. Pardew's been saying a hell of a lot about we want to be doing this for Cyril, all this kind of stuff. I just think they're going to be fired up. And I saw what they did to Brighton at home as well. I think Southampton are going to struggle there. And my risk is, I mentioned him lots of times before, Giroud is possibly the only time I better go for him. He is a fancy on risk because we don't know whether he's going to play. But there's lots of reasons. We mentioned about his goal threats. We know about that. But one of the main things, I had a look at the last 4 home match stats for defending. And there we go. Watford have conceded 9. That's joint top with Bournemouth. And they've conceded a hell of a lot, 46 goals. So once again, that's pretty high as well. So there's lots and lots of opportunity for Giroud to score there. So I think he's going to be a really good bet this week if he starts.
It was a good week for Fancy Island. There's lots of differentials on offer with these new players, and I think it's a good one so far. You've nicked the clean sheet. I was going to go West Brom as well, but I'll go Crystal Palace home to Newcastle. Sakho's back, and that's a big factor. When Sakho plays, he's a big boost for them, and I think that Newcastle, they don't have Slimani. He's going to be injured. Doesn't look like he's going to be turning out. So it'll be down to Hoslu, who took one of the worst penalties I've ever seen in midweek. So his confidence is completely shot. I just don't see Newcastle scoring goals at the moment, and Sakho will probably come out of it with a bonus as well. But he's not my fancy on the risk. My fancy on the risk is Daniel Sturridge. Another player who is changed club and could be like Giroud, give him pitch time, he delivers. I looked interestingly at minutes per shot, and this season it's only Mitrovic, I think, who's had more shots more frequently. He's actually had more shots per minute than Kane, which is ridiculous. And I went back a few seasons, and he's 19 minutes per shot this season. Last season, 19 minutes per shot. Season before that, 20 minutes per shot. Season before that, 19 minutes per shot. Basically, when Sturridge plays, he just shoots for goal. Now, West Brom aren't Liverpool, so we'll see if he can keep this up. But I think that he could do all right there if he stays fit, and I think it's a good fixture at Southampton. So I'll go Sturridge. But there's another name we haven't mentioned. And like Giroud, he's a player we've always wanted to get. I think when he's had spells in the team, but never been nailed on at Liverpool until that Suarez season. But then we had Suarez, so it was never going to be an option. Okay, that's that. Let's do our captains and transfers. I'll go first. I'm probably going to captain Hazard at the moment. I just think we've talked about it. I mean, the reason why is I backed him at the midweek. He didn't deliver. Hopefully, it'll be a different Chelsea team. Watford, you've given reasons, Jonty, why they look ropey at the back. And he's been strong away from home. 8 goals, 6 arrived away from home. No real reason for that. I've looked at the stats, no really reason. But I think I'm going Hazard just to see if I can get that differential. I probably am doing what I said at the top of the show. I said I'm going to play Dullard. That's not a Dullard move. But I'm probably going to do that. My transfer will probably have to be Christensen out to Daniels, which is frustrating. But I'm probably going to have to do that. We'll wait on Conte on Friday, which is only tomorrow, and see what happens. So that's me. Andy, what are you up to?
It's a bit like last week. I'm still very much undecided. I think if any week I'm not going to captain Salah or Kane, it's this week. Depends who I'm going to bring in. I'm looking at De Bruyne, Walcott, Wilson, and maybe he's even as a captain option. But I really want to go for Sanchez. I know we haven't got enough time to talk about him now, and I know there's loads of reasons why you shouldn't get him. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't tell anyone else to get him. But he's Man United. I want to get him in for Huddersfield at home. When am I going to get a chance for it? He's owned by 1%. He was in the top 10K for game week 25. I'll never get the differential like that of Sanchez. against Huddersfield at home. So I'm very tempted. I can downgrade him to anyone. But in the back of my head, I'm telling myself, why have I not got De Bruyne yet, who has just scored all season long, who's 1.5 million cheaper? So one of those two will probably be coming in. If not, I'll get Walcott and Wilson, I think, jump on those bandwagons, and maybe captain Wilson. If not Sanchez, if I pluck up the courage to bring him in.
Interesting, De Bruyne. He had 6 shots in midweek, which is
top for midfielders, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know why that would be. I'm trying to think: is there a change in the team sheet that has brought De Bruyne more into the box? Is it because Silva went off? Perhaps. We've got to watch it, because if he's starting to do that, then that adds a completely different dimension to his game. We know what he's capable of in terms of assists, and we know long range he's a threat. But he had 6 shots. I think there's 4 in the box. So. I know. I asked myself that. Why do they go Hazard over De Bruyne? I still prefer Hazard. I don't know why that would be. Maybe it's the pens. I don't know. But Hazard in a misfiring Chelsea team isn't as good as De Bruyne in that City team at the moment. Maybe I made an error. What are you up to? Transfers and captain?
Yeah, I feel like I made an error of that as well. I think it's just Hazard has more shots in the box, and that's always been the stat that I've always looked at. But yeah, that change in stat for De Bruyne getting all those shots off is alarming. I've already made my move. I've been so indecisive for the last few weeks, but I knew exactly what I was doing this week, and it was just getting rid of De Bruyne for Wilson, which to me there doesn't come as a much bigger upgrade than that. I've got rid of a player who starts 50% of the games, isn't scoring, plays for a rubbish team, for a player in great form, only a little bit more expensive, and with great fixtures. So I'm really happy with that. I might even captain him. It's between him and Hazard. I like that Hazard's on the Monday night game, which I know we shouldn't look at, but that is quite nice.
I didn't know that. Now I'm definitely going to captain him.
I know, yeah. So it'll be one of those two. But yeah, I'm quite confident this week. I feel it's February now, so I'm going to be on the up.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Lashing out at Huddersfield as well there. That's what, 5. I'm losing count, Jonty. Jonty, what are you up to this week? Captain, transfer?
Well, yeah. Well, part of my moves last week was to free up some cash to potentially, if I wanted to, get Sanchez in, so I can get rid of Ali, who I think is okay, but I just don't think this is a great fixture. A couple of fixtures for him, and long term, I don't really want him. I can swap him out. I've got 11.8 to spend. I can get Sanchez in. I get hipster points for that if he does well. I don't if he doesn't. I'm wondering if I'm slightly being swayed by that. The other thing is, the more I thought about it, the more I would tie up a lot of money in that one player. One of my big errors last season was getting Sanchez in, because when he doesn't fire, I've got loads of money there tied up in that one player. So I am looking at some other players now, which would free up another million or two, which I can then spread around. I could get Wilson in the following week, for example. I could upgrade Schindler to Jones. So it gives me options. I like having options. So I'm looking at Ali out, possibly for your man Hazard, because I'm down a captain. I could captain Salah. It's all that kind of floor-ceiling business with him. I think he'll probably score, because he just does. But I don't know if he's going to get me more than 7 or 8 points. I don't know if he's going to get me that. But I think Hazard against that, as I've said about that Watford side, and last 4 away matches, he has been doing really well. So he's got those 3 goals there. And he's had 13 goal attempts as well, which isn't bad, really. So that's actually, if you consider that Kane in his last 4 away matches has had 15. So this is the kind of level Hazard's playing at away from home. And the big clincher for me was Giroud coming in. I just think with Giroud there, you've suddenly got a striker. So I think that really ups his assist potential, also ups his penalty potential as well, because Giroud's the kind of person that defenders may have to bring down in the box there. So, but De Bruyne as well. So now I'm thinking, I've got lots of options. I've got nice options because I can afford 3 really good midfielders. It's just which one I go for. Hipster against Watford, good captain choice. Or De Bruyne, he's the long-term pick. I just don't think he's as good away as he is at home. De Bruyne is more effective at home. Don't know if this is quite the fixture to get a really big haul for captaining De Bruyne. So there's all those things I'm thinking of. But so people don't like people sitting on the fence on here, but I'm trying to sit on 3 little fences there, and it's one of those ones.
The other thing with De Bruyne is that Leicester fixture. It does worry me. I know that Andy talked about Ottoman. He doesn't think he's going to get rested. But going into that Leicester game, if they're 15 points ahead and they know they've got the first leg 3 days later, he is going to look at his team sheet and go, who are my key players that I want to protect? Not for injury, but fatigue. Because so I think if you get De Bruyne now, you'd be a bit anxious about the team sheet. I remember last season he got dropped. He got rested at Burnley last season.
He hasn't been rested once this.
I know he hasn't.
Arguably a good reason to rest him, I know, but that man just runs. I've said it before, runs and runs for days.
I know.
I think he's said as well about Silva.
That
situation, because he's come out and said, things are more important than football, blah, 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 family. And obviously David Silva's family issues are much more important. So they're basically on standby for David Silva to be going away at any moment. And I think the way they train, they set up, De Bruyne is de facto going to start because they don't know whether Silva's not. So he's going to be part of that training for that. So I just think De Bruyne, for the foreseeable, is starting because he's already said that. He said, I don't mind being tired because things are more important. We're doing it for him, because he's a nice guy and all that. So that's great. It's what you want to hear. So I don't really have that problem, but it's just more the fact that I do that. Watford are awful at home, and Hazard's now going to have Giroud, we think. I don't know, and the Monday night as well, Mike.
Yeah, the Monday night is very, very seductive. I know. No, it's very strange. But when I got Hazard in, I did look at the next three and think he does give me another option. If I don't fancy Salah or Kane, he gives me none. That is valuable. I didn't know then they were going to get Giroud necessarily.
The other thing about Hazard as well is that, I've had him in my team. I've had him out of my team. I got him in for a big haul, and then he lots of blanks, and I got rid of him for some blanks, and then he did haul some weeks after I got rid of him. And that's okay. You don't kind of mind that. So he's the kind of player I'm quite happy to dump because he probably won't punish me that week. He might do a couple of weeks later. Well, then I've forgotten about it. So yeah. But Sanchez, I don't know. Sanchez is a big commitment. It's a lot of money.
Huddersfield at home, though.
Huddersfield at home.
But the thing is, he auditioned for us the other night, and he failed it miserably with no shots and no chances.
No chances. And he was deeper as well. And the thing about when I was watching him against Yeovil as well, so yeah, he got an assist and caught sort of another assist there. Yes, Yeovil obviously League 2 quality there, but he was doing he was doing what I didn't want him to be doing. He was on the left, away from the penalty box a little bit. He wasn't attacking enough, and he was quite happy to not be that guy that scores. And he was kind of he looked almost the sister of the assist. I don't know. We need to see more of him.
He's not in it to get 20 goals a season. He's in it to help Man United win. So he'll do whatever he can to do that. And it's going to take time. And we shouldn't think that he's going to transplant his same performance levels and output from Arsenal to another team just like that. It's not going to happen, is it? So I think it's a risk. Andy, it'd be maverick. I can see why you're looking at it to get that hike. But
do you reckon he can play up front in any of these coming games?
I just don't see Mourinho dropping Lukaku at any point. He's just going to run him ragged all season.
So
he needs to drop. He needs to be rested. And Sanchez would be perfect up front in that team, I think. But yeah, it's just not going to happen. And yeah, there's loads. I could list off loads of reasons not to do Sanchez. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else, but I'm still considering it myself.
Okay, well, we'll see what Andy does. That will be a very maverick move indeed. Presumably he's going to captain him as well. That's another Scoutcast wrapped up. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm off to get off home. Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks, John T. And as we'll lead you to barricade the door from the Arsenal fans, Huddersfield fans, and John Stones, I think, is on his way. So, yeah, good luck with that. Thank you for joining us. It's a good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.